helicopters have been procured for me to go to golf course. Thank you.
I've never said he wasn't a great politician. I'm just saying he's a golfer.
It's supposed to be an interview.
How'd you play out there today?
Well, I found the conditions challenging. Mostly because there's no grass on the golf course, but there never has been.
I'm thinking about the swag bag, and I have high hopes for the swag bag.
When you got 3 crevices on the green, your course is trash.
What's happening, folks? Welcome back, Beltway Golfer, episode 6. Alex Dixon here. Thanks for joining me. You know, the reason I started the Beltway Golfer podcast and what I'm so excited about doing it going forward is obviously to sit down and have conversations and profile folks that are in the DMV, in the DC area, tied to the world of golf. But in doing so, it's also getting out and hearing more or getting to know better people that I've been communicating with, or at least following on, in most cases, social media for months or even years, whether that be Instagram, Twitter, sometimes Facebook, and seeing their pictures, their videos, liking, commenting, having messages, hearing about their golf game, but not really getting to know them beyond that, hearing more about their stories, or even in a lot of cases meeting them ever face to face, or having a round of golf with them. You know, I'm aiming to fix that, and today's guest was a great example of what excites me about it. I sat down with a woman named Desiree Walker. Desiree, she also goes by Desi. She's got a couple different social media handles. One is Desi Golfs, D-E-S-I Golfs, and the other is for her golf social event company, Road2Par. It's Road, the number 2, Par. She came to the game of golf fairly late, but immediately became, caught the bug, jumped in with both feet, went to Golf Academy of America, started a business, Road2Par. It's a social event company. She'll tell you all about it, all tied to the game of golf and exposing it to folks who otherwise may not feel comfortable at a golf course or on a golf course. But she's also got a really unique perspective on things. She's a black woman who's now a golf entrepreneur. It's one of the more underrepresented groups in the sport of golf. But she's also a police officer, and I don't know. There can't be that many police officers that have a golf-related side business or even side hustle. So that's interesting in itself. And obviously, with everything going on in the world, in our country, in Washington, D.C., her perspective as a black woman, as a police officer, and as a golf entrepreneur is extremely unique. So I was incredibly excited to meet her in person for the first time, learn more about her story, about Road2Par. And we sat down for like 45 minutes and had an awesome conversation at the country club at Woodmore. So I'm excited to share our conversation with y'all, and I hope you enjoy it. So here it is, Desiree Walker with Road2Par. Enjoy. All right, we are out here, Beltway Golfer, Alex Dixon with Desiree Walker at the Country Club of Woodmore.
Yes.
Beautiful day out here. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for coming out here.
Absolutely. We were chatting before this started, and I've only been out here once before, and it's been a while. It may have even been when it may have still been named PG Country Club. I'm not sure when do you know when they made that switch? I
don't remember the exact year, and I just actually had posted about it because it's actually my first year out here with Road2Par. So we are super excited to have a new course home. We had 4 wonderful years at Lake Presidential, and so now we are out here now at the Country Club of Woodmore.
Perfect. And so you just mentioned that. So one of the big reasons I wanted to have you on Beltway Golfer is what you just mentioned, Road2Par. So let's start there. You and I have been connected on social media for a while. So I've I've never been to a Road2Par event, but I've seen a lot of pictures and video of it. It looks like a lot of fun. But why don't we start there? What's Road2Par all about?
Okay.
Why did you start Road2Par, and just fill us in there?
Well, I do love golf, just like you. And Road2Par started off actually as my golf journey. So I am very much a newcomer in the golf world in terms of business, in terms of all the courses I've played or not played. And it all started back in 2014. Believe it or not, I started playing at Topgolf.
Okay.
A friend of mine said, hey, it's your birthday, let's go hit some golf balls. And I didn't have a lot of friends that played. So I started playing, and then, as we say in the golf world, I caught the bug. I caught the bug bad. And so...
Like, how long ago were we talking?
6 years ago.
Okay. Oh, wow. So, you are relatively new to the game.
Yes. I mean, when I say new, I am an infant in terms of probably some of your other guests who have infinite knowledge. But I took an unusual path. So I had a job and was working my job for about 10 years. And I said, how can I learn golf? Like, how can it really be a part of my life? Because I found that it was something that you could do for the rest of your life. And so I found a school in Myrtle Beach called Golf Academy of America.
Sure.
And they had, I think, 5 or 6 campuses across the country and had operated for a number of years. And it wasn't a PGA program, it wasn't a PGM program, but it was a standalone program that taught you how to play, how to teach, the business behind it. I mean, we even went down to the agronomy of it. I think we grew grass and learned about that.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. And so when I started at the school, this was about 2015 to 2016, I started a blog.
So this is like how long after you first went to Topgolf?
6 months.
So 6 months from the time you first picked up a club and you said, you know what, I'm going to Golf Academy of America.
Yeah. So I think within a week I had bought a starter set. It was Adams, I remember. And within 2 weeks, because I used to love to travel, I bought a travel bag. And so I would pick up my clubs and go. I think I played Malibu Country Club before they shut down with the drought. You know, just going across and playing wherever I could. And so back at the Golf Academy, I learned so much that I had started a blog called Road2Par. And it was literally a conversation into my journey into golf. So as time went on, I graduated golf school. I had worked at golf courses, private and public. I said, you know, this is a lot of information that's useful, that's good, and how can I share that with others? So I decided to make Road2Par a company. And then Road2Par was born. And from Road2Par became the expansion of events. So because I jumped into the game late and I also ran across other people who came to the game late, I saw one of the big problems is just getting people to the golf course, right?
For sure.
People say all the time, oh, your pictures are gorgeous and they're wonderful. I said, well, come to the course, come check it out. So one of my first events was our Birdies and Brunch out at National Golf Club.
Okay.
Terry Schaefer, amazing pro out there, hosted it for us, and had a women's group. And they
National Golf Club right in Fort Washington.
Yep, Fort Washington. And they loved it. It was amazing. It was an opportunity for me to share this game that I fell in love with others. And so fast forward, I had a few other events lined up. We ended up doing happy hours at the golf course. So that's where Lake Presidential came in. So as I started doing golf, people would say, well, hey, come do a social event here and we'll get something going. So it really balloons because I have another hobby, which is cigars.
Okay.
Which is, as people know in the golf world, cigars and golf, they're like hand in hand. So then we started having cigar happy hours on the golf course. And so this year actually is year 5. Road2Par has been doing events.
Well, let me just stop you one second.
Go for it.
So you first picked up a golf club 6 years ago.
Correct.
Within 6 months, you went to Golf Academy America. And then some point within that first year, maybe the next year, you started your own golf social event company.
Correct.
Were you an entrepreneur before this?
I think I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit. And And so, like most entrepreneurs, I have a day job. Like I said earlier on, I left to go to golf school. Had the wonderful occasion to actually come back to it when I came back from golf school, because I had moved away from the DMV and then came back after golf school. And so I have my day job, as we say, and then I started my golf company. And so I've had clients. We have tournaments every year. We have a cigar golf tournament every year. Client is Tinderbox of Waldorf, down in Waldorf, Maryland. Then we also do a wonderful golf outing for a cruise. So there's a company in the DMV that does a big jazz event, 3-day weekend, called Capital Jazz. And I do their golf outing on their cruises that they do every year.
I think I checked out a video of this. You've got a YouTube channel that you started not too long ago, and I saw a video of the cruise. That looked like a lot of fun. So,
it is probably the most fun I've ever had.
So you did within the cruise, you did a golf outing with folks that were already on the cruise, and you kind of.
Correct.
I got you.
Correct.
That's a lot of fun. So so you are a native of the DMV. So for folks that also listen to another local podcast, Golf DMV, those guys are great. I was on their show about a year ago, but you were as well.
Yes.
And so if you haven't listened to that, check it out. Search Desiree Walker or Road2Par for Golf DMV. But I listened to that as well, and so on that one you talked about growing up in the DMV. So growing up around here and just getting into golf like 6 years ago, were you familiar with the game much? Like, did you have people in your social circle, in your family that did you know people that played? So
I'm a native Washingtonian, and I say that in particular because we say DMV, which is an amazing area with so much to offer. But if you actually go into the city, you look at opportunities for golf. In DC, we have 3 golf courses. How utilized are they really? Not just how much are they utilized, but how much are they promoted to be utilized in the community. I'll say historically speaking, as a minority, I'm an African-American female, I didn't have friends that played. I did not have family members that played, especially as a female. If they did and if they were male, you didn't really know, right? It wasn't a sport that you say, hey, bring all your ladies out, or, it was just something that I drove past Benning Road and saw a golf course, and honestly speaking, didn't know many of us were there. And there's so much of history that I'm just now learning that I wasn't taught. So, growing up, you see, but sometimes you're never told what is actually there. So as far as golf and early on, I'm still learning now as I'm really getting into the game. So as part of your motivation around Road2Par, you had mentioned obviously making it easier for people to get into the game and being comfortable getting into the game. So has that been part of it? Have you gotten in some of your friends and social circles? It's and family members? Huge have part you gotten of it. Play? Huge part of it. When I started the Birdies and Brunch, it was because people really couldn't believe I quit my job to go play golf. And so they're like, what kind of game is this, right? Is this voodoo or something? But it was a great opportunity. Golf is a great stress reliever for any field, any profession, anybody. And so when I first started playing, I had a very, very stressful job, still do now, but we'll get to that in a couple minutes. Yeah, no worries. It's one of those places where we're having this conversation today, and if you look out behind us, it is the most serene view you could ever imagine. And we're not far from civilization, right? Like, there's civilization all around us. Even if you're playing Langston or playing out at East Potomac, there is still a sense of serenity about the environment. And so when you asked earlier, getting into it to help others, I definitely wanted to get people involved. I think the numbers now are maybe 30% of women are involved in golf compared to 70% of men. 30%, yeah, right. 30% of total golfers. Correct, are women. And then the numbers are even lower for minorities. Sure. So when you look at, people always make the joke, business happens on course. No matter what that business may be. you start to look at the inequity that has happened over the years and how at some point, say sports and different components have been an equalizer. Golf should be that equalizer as well. So if I can have an opportunity to get people on course, whether it be through social means and or lessons, I'm all about it. I think everyone should be able to share and enjoy, you know, the journey of being on a road to par.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, because obviously golf, in a lot of ways, rightfully so, but it, you know, has this connotation of being this, you know, rich, elitist, white guy sport. In a lot of cases with good reason. But you know, playing with women and golfers of color over the years, you know, everybody loves the game.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, there's no, you know, old white guys don't love the game any more than, you know, than women or golfers from different minority groups. It just has that connotation for a lot of different reasons, and some of them have been, being excluded for different practices at country clubs, and that's what I'll get to here. So what's interesting, so you had Road2Par, you essentially your home course and where you do all your events was at Lake Presidential, which is a public course for the last several years.
Correct.
And then this season you decided to come to
Woodmore,
which is private.
Yes.
What was it? What made you do that?
Well, so one of the great things about golf is that it is relationships, right? You have to build solid foundations and relationships. And so as yourself, you go around different courses all around the DMV. You also have to find the right relationship that works. Just like with golf, how many sets of clubs do we normally go through until we find the one that's like, this is going to be it, right? Like this is going to be the one that drops my handicap like 5 strokes or more. And courses are the same way. Lake Pres is a beautiful course, an amazing course that I still often play. At some point, you go to different ones and you feel which one may have the next fit, right? I've played with Mizuno golf clubs, and they were great to a point. And then I played with, I think I had TaylorMades, and then moving on to the next set. And so each set is very good. But it does offer something different. So this year, coming over to Woodmore and the Woodmore family is going to be a great experience for all of us, and looking forward to being able to expand the Road2Par family into the Woodmore family and vice versa. And
it certainly seems, as I mentioned before, this is literally only my second time ever on this property. But just from what I've seen in the last hour or so, seems to be a little bit more diverse than most private country clubs, even just in the area. Well, and the great thing about that is, you know, Prince George's County has had a long history of being one of the wealthiest black counties in America. When you talk about, so for instance, when I said earlier I was a native Washingtonian, I'm a 6th generation Washingtonian. And what that means is that you see, your family's part of the building blocks of our nation's capital. And so for a while there, you know, as time goes on and there's an opportunity to build, right? Economically, socially, you have to go to places that are welcoming and places that are accepting, where you can have that and engage that. And PG County has been that for quite some time. And I think it's important to have a diversity component to country clubs, a diversity component to golf courses, golf clubs. Because at the end of the day, like you said earlier, no matter how you look, no matter where you're from, your background, once you come out on the golf course, we all speak golf. That's right. And you also have a pretty unique perspective, and it was one of the additional reasons why I wanted to sit down with you. Tell us about your day job. Day job. So I have roughly 14 years with a law enforcement agency in the Washington, D.C. area. When I mentioned earlier about quitting my job, so had I had the chance to stay at work and still learn golf as intense as I did, I probably would have done so, but unfortunately Myrtle Beach was the closest location. But I am, like I said, a 14-year veteran of the department. So you left. I left job for you know,
For golf.
For how long?
It was about 2 years.
About 2 years.
2 years.
And now you came back to the same.
I did. And thankfully they welcomed me back with open arms. And I've been very blessed to say that I've been able to work in all facets of the job, and even more importantly, community outreach. I've worked with different communities within the area that I work in, and it's very important to continue to build the bridge, to build a conversation. As a Black woman who is also a police officer, it is a duty, not just for me, but anyone that puts on that uniform, to learn the communities they work in, to work within them in a respectful, professional, and humane way, always, because we're all human first. And so all the unrest that goes on today, I understand both sides of it, because I'm tired of seeing people die on TV. I'm tired of people dying through the hands of someone that wears this uniform, because at some point they lost respect for wearing this uniform. So
this had to been one of, if not the most challenging spring to be a Black woman and a police officer with everything going on. So some hard conversations and some tricky conversations, maybe, or not.
Well, I'll say this. From the moment I put the uniform on, I knew the responsibility that it held. I put it on knowing that there's not many that look like me that put on this uniform. We're a very small percentage. And it's even more smaller when you go into rural areas. Women are still a minority within the field. But to me, it made more sense because I wanted to do something in the community I grew up in, okay? Who better to interact with the people in the community than someone from the community, right? To have the same conversations and to understand the situation and diffuse the situation from a true understanding. Unfortunately, the job is not always pretty. It is not, and we work very hard to do the best that we can for everybody. And I can only speak for me personally, but I know there are quite a few of my coworkers that feel the same way.
I saw you posted on Instagram not too long ago, and for folks that want to follow Desiree, you got the Road2Par.
Road2Par is
road,
it? Yeah.
The number 2.
Road2Par. Yeah.
Par,
Yeah.
But you also have Desi Golfs. DESI Golfs. And I follow both. And one of the you did a post not too long ago with yourself in uniform, and you talked about in the post that you've had friends and people in your network that have kind of asked you, how can you be a Black woman with everything going on and be a police officer, and you made there was a line that you said that you're striving to be the example, not the exception.
Correct.
What does that mean?
So at the end of the day, if you look at history from the standpoint of policing, period, unfortunately it was brought about during the times of slavery, all right? And so one could say, well, how could you be a police officer knowing that that's how it started? But as a system that will be here, was here before me, and will be here after me, how could I not be a part of being within the system to change the system? So an exception would be those who are not fit to wear this uniform, those who are doing wrong that should never wear this uniform. The example are those that continue to strive to work within the community every day to right the wrongs that have been done and to help the community in any way possible. Like I said, going back to the community outreach work that I do, a lot of times it is coordination and community partnerships that really help those who are in need. Like I said, not every day is going to be the perfect picture, but it's a continuous conversation that has to be had.
Sure.
And like I said, we bring it back to the golf component. When you talk about country clubs, so many of the rules that were set to keep people out, you have to get in and change them. So whether it be 1 member, 2 members, or 3 members that come in and all say, hey, we're going to bring in other people who deserve this same opportunity, who have every right to be here just as we do. And I think that's really important when you start to talk about the hard conversations our country is having today and will have to have for quite a while.
Yeah.
So.
Have you been able to play much golf this spring? I imagine you've been working some overtime hours.
You know, it's I'm slowly getting back. Things were a little contentious at one point, and of course, we're all very anxious with COVID, right? We're also trying to understand what that looks like.
Sure.
I'll tell you, it took me maybe a month or two before all the protests happened to actually get out on the course. Like most people, we didn't know how to handle it, right? How do you play with a mask? Do you touch the cart? You just didn't know. And so I never forget my first round when I started to get up the nerve was out at Bristow Manor, out in Virginia. And I had a couple rounds. It was Bristow and Stonewall, where I drove over an hour, to get a tee time. So Maryland opened up, I think, last. Virginia stayed open.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And DC was last. But it took a minute. It took a minute, and we're also trying to figure it out. A lot of courses have dividers for the carts now, or they're still doing the 1 cart per player rule. And I think safety is very much key in all of our activities. So.
This is actually the first time I've seen this. The carts here at Woodmore have a plastic divider that hangs down in between the two people that are sitting there. I have not seen that yet.
Well, I'll tell you, you miss playing with your buddies and talking with them, and you try to do everything in your power to still be close, but yet socially distanced, so that, you want to have conversations, but then you want to also make sure that you're protecting one another. So,
changing topics a little bit, I saw that you were also involved in an organization that maybe is fairly new, I'm not sure, called the Black Golf Alliance.
Yes. So, oh gosh, it was maybe a year ago. There was a forum on Facebook, and we were talking about someone had started a group called Black Golfers, and then we said, okay, well, we really want to form something where we're doing something, right? Whether we're propelling more information out to the Black golf community, whether we're helping other golfers get involved and learn more about golf, period. And so we put together what is called the Black Golf Alliance. And we actually, this year, we're going to have a Juneteenth golf event in Myrtle Beach. And unfortunately, with COVID, we wanted to err on the side of caution. But it's very much important to give people information that normally it wasn't given to, right?
Sure.
And people will probably say, well, it's year 2020. How is that possible? But as we've seen through our country, things are still not all in line, right? There are some areas of the world that are not as progressive as others, and in our country is no different. So there are still country clubs that maybe have one black golfer, right? Or country clubs or golf courses that they see a group of black golfers and they don't know what to do. And that sounds probably foreign, because I mean, one would think that shouldn't be. We're a little, not sheltered here in DMV, but we have a robust multicultural community. So you go to different golf courses and you're going to see everyone. But in the different parts of the country, you're not going to see that. You're still going to see the traditional golfer, what they say on TV, which is a white male. And that might be the majority.
Interesting.
Yeah.
As a police officer and a golfer, this is way off topic, but have you ever had to you ever seen anything that you had to put on your police officer hat on the golf course?
No, this is like my this is my serenity out here. I hope not. I'm call the clubhouse. Send somebody out here.
Right, I'm off duty. I don't want to.
Yeah, no, I will tell you. Someone said to me a long time ago, I've never met a stranger on the golf course, and that still holds true today. Golf is an amazing sport that I'm very thankful for. It's, a great stress reliever, boosts your health. I mean, like this wonderful course, I can walk or I can ride, ride 9, walk 9.
Sure.
But golf is definitely a place that everyone should have an opportunity to be a part of.
What So we chatted a little bit, Road to Par. You know, I think you and I have a lot of similarities that sounds like you took action a lot faster than I did as far as starting Road to Par. You know, but really coming from a place of being, you know, a golf enthusiast and just loving the game, trying to figure out, you know, how can I make this more a part of my life, and, and maybe even turning it into a side business or a hobby, or more so in my case. But what are some of your? I know you talked about are you starting a podcast?
Yes.
With
So
Road to Par, like
Road to Par.
What are you working on?
Road to Par podcast is coming. I know you mentioned earlier. You saw my YouTube. As we mentioned earlier, we were talking before we started filming, and one of the things when I started playing golf was I had pictures, right? So took a picture here, picture there, and even in my travels, I picture. And, you know, I never really thought about a video or interviews, anything like that. But then when I really realized, like, there's just so much to share. So I have an archive of photos, and I've been doing some archive video for my YouTube channel. So if you're on YouTube, look up Road2Par, R-O-A-D, the number 2, P-A-R. And you'll see some of the events I've done over the years, some of the courses. And a lot of people say, wow, you played this course or that course. And the thing is, you can too. Sure. Right? When I do the cruise, a lot of people say, wait, you play golf on a cruise? And you'd be surprised. There's hundreds of golfers. I mean, so the cruise is like thousands of cruisers. But then you have hundreds of golfers who want to get off at the different ports, right? So we've played in Honduras, St. Lucia, Mexico. I've played Jamaica. You can play, gosh, there's another one. St. Lucia we played. Antigua is another one. And people would never think so. But when you're a golfer, you instinctively think, where's the golf course?
Is that all? So you've done multiple of these trips. That wasn't all one trip, was it?
Yes. I've done a few. I've done a few. If I'm traveling, my clubs are always with me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you had talked about, you did these kind of golf social happy hours at Lake Presidential that looked like a lot of fun. Is the plan to do those here at Woodmore?
Yes. So we will be starting those here July 23rd. Okay. And they'll be on Thursdays. And, you know, we are socially distancing. So right now, I think the safest place for people to be is amongst nature, right? Instead of crammed in somewhere. No one wants that. Nobody's looking for that. We're going to play it safe. But a lot of my golf patrons are also cigar smokers. So it's a cigar happy hour. And so you just come outside, enjoy your cigars, socially distanced, but still enjoy. And we have some nice music that we play. And just, you know, try to have a good time and kind of enjoy yourself.
Is that open to non-members?
It will be open to non-members.
Okay, cool.
So for those that like to come out, if you like jazz, come on out. So it'll be a nice jazz happy hour. And it is a good time. I mean, I know most of us have been crammed indoors when we're not at work, for those of us that still have to go to work. So to be able to come out and just have a moment amongst peace and nature, cigars on course.
So I mean, I like a cigar every now and again. I wouldn't call myself a cigar smoker. Are you like Michael Jordan? Are you smoking like multiple cigars every round?
I try not to. I'll say I'll probably light up on the back nine. Okay. So one on the back nine, depending on how that scorecard looks, it'll get me through the rest of the round.
I see guys, I was just playing around just a couple weeks ago, and it was crack of dawn, and there was a guy at 7 a.m. and he's already halfway through a cigar. I was like,
yeah,
wow.
No, can't do that one. I love the art of a cigar, so I like taking my time with them. Much like my golf game, take my time. But it's definitely it's a relaxation point. It's a fine art to it.
Sure. Yeah. Interesting. Do you do events? So you do the cigar happy hours. You do some cruise outings. Do you do outings or events at other courses? Like I saw one of your videos, I think, and maybe you can tell me a little bit about them. But it was called the SGC Tour?
So a friend of mine named James Garnett, have to introduce you to him. He is also a member out here, and he runs a group called the Sunday Golf Crew, SGC.
SGC, okay.
And they are a very fun group. I have a lot of fun with them. We've played quite a few courses together. And he does primarily outings. So for instance, I do specialty golf tournaments for charities and certain clients. So he actually runs his own events. So if you don't mind putting a little bet money into it for some fun prizes, he has some great places that he plays.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How's the game?
Woo! I'll tell you, I never forget when I first started thinking about the business side of it. I had met another golfer who does business stuff on the side with golf, and I think it's the same person. I can't remember the name offhand, but he said once he started doing the business, his game suffered. And I said, wow, that'd be weird, right? You're always on the course. I would think your game would go well. So I will tell you, in 6 years, the lowest my handicap has been about a 13.
That's good.
I will tell you, I played the Golf Channel Am Tour.
Okay.
When it was still a Golf Channel Am Tour, and I played Golf Week. And that competition, right? Like, you really get to see how to handle yourself.
Sure.
I never forget my first Golf Channel Am Tour event. I shot like a 109. I don't really know what I was doing out there.
Hey, only one way to find out.
Right. I said, let me give it a shot. But I will tell you, by the end of that tour, I had played maybe 6 events. I never forget, it was Bull Run. I shot the 109. It was horrible. It might have been higher than that. It was crazy. But fast forward, my last event may have been Creighton Farms. And I think I came in second with like an 86. And, it's one of those things where, golf is...
How long of a period between that 109?
That was one season. It was one, but I'm going to tell you.
So you went from 109 to 86? You were all right.
Well, I had a decent game, right? So it was like my game wasn't bad, but when you go to competition golf, everything changes, you know, and your nerves.
Sure.
I never forgot, I think it was the first tee, and off the first tee, I just shanked like 2 balls into the woods. And I was like, okay, Desiree, get it together. Like, it's not that bad. And so got my game together. Like I said, it took me about six rounds. And then, of course, you practice and play in between somewhere else. But once you get into the competition mode, then you can start to say, okay, let me go ahead, slow it down and work on it. And so.
No, I know exactly where you're coming from. I don't play competitive golf. I played high school golf.
Okay.
Didn't play competitively at all after that. And then, about 20 years later, when I was a high single handicap, which unfortunately I'm on the wrong. I'm back into double digits now. But knowing that I had no chance of even coming close, but like you said, I wanted to test out like those competitive juices and just to see what it was like. I just went to one of the Virginia State amateur qualifying events. Okay. And it was like the first time I played in even a quasi-competitive situation in a long time, and I don't remember what my score was, but it was probably a lot closer to your 109 than the 86. I'll put it that way.
But I mean, hey, we could look back and laugh at it now, right? Like, it probably was a little sad for us then, but and that's the thing, right? Like golf, we learned. I came out here last week and shot an 86, and once again, to that whole conversation, so I played with the same person I did like on a Thursday, played with them again on a Saturday, and came out here and shot like a 99 or 100. And I'm like, I could tell this story, but thank God I have a witness to say, what happened to your game? It just, it just fell apart. But we have fun. Yeah. And that's what it's about. That's what Road2Par is all about. It's about the fun. It's about having a good time on course. As I always say, it's about the people, the places, and the putts, right? And it will continue, right? So this is a game of life, and we can continue to play for the remainder of our lives.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. In terms of what Road2Par is, and where Road2Par will go with the podcast, it definitely is indicative of where Road2Par has been. I have the amazing opportunity to play with some great golfers who are not traditional golfers. So, and I say it to say, there's a whole nother part to this golf world. Whether it be one of my very good golf friends, Marcus Johnson, from the area, has his own wine. He's a world-renowned jazz musician. We talk golf all the time. Matter of fact, hopped off a boat and went golfing in Puerto Rico during one of the cruises. Nice. But things like that, I think, are very interesting too, right? So we could sit here and talk about how many putts I missed. Mm-hmm. We could talk about how long my drive was. But I think there's a part of the industry, especially with the social component, that people really haven't touched yet. And I think those are the things, and bringing it full circle, Topgolf. Yep. A lot of people don't like Topgolf. It's not golf, right? It's not the nature. It's not it's a show business. Mm-hmm. But that show business has produced a lot of golfers.
I bet.
Yeah.
You being one of them.
Me being one of them.
And they're certainly doing well. It seems like a new one opens up every week.
Well, we'll see what the new economy that rolls. But I think that right there is something that people are interested in. Yeah. From the happy hours to the cruises, you know, golf is everywhere. Mm-hmm. And so to be able to have that conversation with, not every GM per se, but, the musicians who play golf, the artists that play golf, sure. Some maybe personalities that you didn't think play golf that do. So when you talk about golf and you talk about its opportunities and its reach, mm-hmm. I think that we really need to develop that more, right? So, why be at a country club? Why be on the golf course? We can talk at great length about, the benefits of playing golf with someone for business and or, relationship building.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting, and I know we've seen, certainly before coronavirus, but mm-hmm. I want to say like 2018, 2019, even probably several years before that, there was a lot of talk about how participation in the game was declining. Mm-hmm. Certainly, I've talked a lot about how we're losing so many courses, and courses are closing. Participation in golf and the golf economy has been kind of on the decline. Mm-hmm. However, during coronavirus,
we're the only sport that can be played.
Right,
yep.
It quickly became one of the safest things to do. Yep. And now all of a sudden you're seeing reports that there's a massive uptick in kids playing and all sorts.
You can't find golf carts, right. Like push carts. You can't find, it was a back order. I never forget. As soon as everything hit and once they said you could get out and play again, I had friends that'd be like, come on, let's go play. And they're like, well, I'll try to get a cart. Carts were sold out. Carts were on back order. Yeah. This is actually golf's prime time. Golf is center stage. We're the only pro sport still being played. Yeah. We're the only sport that amateurs can still play. Mm-hmm. And even for those who, are still working from home, you can still come out on the golf course, do some work at the clubhouse, and go play golf and come back and do more work.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I haven't really talked to any golf course operators about the economics of the last 3-4
Mm-hmm.
months, but it certainly seems like there's a silver lining for some of these golf courses that rounds and participation has been way up.
Yes, so I will say that I have talked to quite a few. Virginia, Maryland, actually headed to Delaware this weekend to play 3 courses.
Oh yeah, where are you playing?
Links at Lighthouse,
nice.
Plantation Lakes. It's within their top 5, okay. And the big one, Baywood Greens.
Oh, nice. It's beautiful.
Try to get some good footage.
Absolutely. They'll have the flowers out of Baywood.
I'm excited.
The last time I played Baywood, I think they had just taken the flowers down. I think they do that
mm-hmm.
like the 2nd or 3rd week of October.
Mm-hmm.
So it was in great shape. It was great to play, but it wasn't quite as photogenic as maybe it could have been.
It's a fun course. I played it once, and so I'm excited to go back. It's been some years, probably about 4 years. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we'll have to. We've never played together, so we'd love to play some
golf.
golf.
Part 2.
Yeah,
that's part two.
And then maybe we can take it from there and do some kind of combined event or something.
Let's
like
do
that.
it.
We'll see.
Let's do it. Looking forward to it.
This has been awesome. It's a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you for
having me. This is the first time we've met
me.
in person.
Yes.
So,
we've been chatting, like trying to get through this COVID protests, all this stuff.
Right. So this has been great. I appreciate you coming on and having me out. And
thank you.
We'll do it again.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome.
I got ideas. Johnny Wags has ideas. I don't have a good golf game, but I don't really care. I'm a regular dude living in DC, and I want to know about DC-centric golf stuff. If you can tell me something that I don't already know, then that is great for me. I don't want the regular stuff. I want exciting stuff. I want different stuff. I want stuff I can't hear elsewhere. But I want it to be about DC golf.